So another Loft find item, and something I used to enjoy doing was going into the Sony Centre, and I could never afford to buy anything, but I always used to pick up a brochure whenever there was a new one available. This one is for autumn and winter 98 to 99, and we may as well have a bit of a look at it. I've also still got the technical specification for all of the items which were being sold at the time. So let's have a quick look and see what Sony were marketing back at the turn of the century. So what do we have? We have home entertainment, digital versatile disc, so they were starting to bring out DVDs. We obviously have standard VHS video recorders. In the UK they'd given up on Betamax back in the late 80s if I recall. They also did a range of Hi8 recorders and players as well. Obviously you've got your hi-fi, recording media, camcorders, mini disc was still being pushed, personal audio, in-car entertainment, and telecommunications and a few other bits and pieces. So let's have a look and let's see what we've actually got here. So this was a big thing for Godzilla, which I think was a Sony Pictures film, and yeah, Columbia by the looks of it. And there we go. Or is it TriStar? No, TriStar, sorry. Whole big spread about that. Then some bits and pieces about the ideal living room by the looks of it. So this would have been the ideal living room at the turn of the century. And I've just noticed I've got a lot of glare on that, so if you bear with me, I'm just going to relocate this. There we go, actually doing it in the inside of the eaves actually works quite well. So anyway, let's see what we have. So there's usually just sort of like this whole blurb of sort of almost like serving suggestions, so sort of different sort of standard of equipment to suit various different prices. Also gives you the option to go for slightly lower down the range. Talks about Dolby Surround Pro Logic and how that works. So the whole big thing back then was home cinema. You had to have as many speakers as possible and as loud a system as possible. And that seems to be something that seems to have sort of fallen away. It's all very minimalist these days with just the odd soundbar. But I think they sort of did certainly reach a high point at this particular era with the home cinema systems and sound quality from an average television set. Now, this is actually sort of the start of DVD. So DVD was pretty new around this sort of time, and Sony were going on to DVD in sort of quite a big way. But they didn't have very many players. They were all sort of really sort of quite high-end looking machines and suitably expensive to sort of boot as well. They were very expensive decks at the time, but very nice. And if you can find one now, they'd certainly be sort of quite a nice machine to actually sort of have in your collection. Something here about digital TV. So again, digital TV was something that was very much in its infancy. Later became Freeview. Started off I think as On Digital. So On Digital was a pay for subscription service which gave you a number of different channels that you can see down there on the right, which would have been available. You also had free to air channels as well, and at the time that was just BBC 1 and 2, BBC News 24, BBC Choice, ITV and channels 4 and 5. Now we have hundreds of free-to-air channels. This is talking about the Sony Vega or Vega, so the FD Trinitron, which was basically a completely flat, well, almost completely flat tube. The faceplate, the glass was flat, but there was some curvature behind the actual flat front. So this was sort of a big thing back then. And oh, what's this? Oh, that's interesting. This is actually a selection of errors that were in this particular brochure. So they've actually put this in to sort of allow you to notice the corrections on page 15 and page 20. This is a little bit more about the tech side of FD Trinitron Wide. So there we are talking about the conventional goldfish style tube, the Trinitron and FD Trinitron. And they weren't actually that bad, to be honest, but you know, they are basically just, unfortunately now they're just junk. That's probably harsh to say. To me they're not junk, but to a lot of people, a lot of them disappeared sort of around 2006, 2007, when people were jumping on the sort of flat panel LCD bandwagon. To be honest, I would have held on to, in fact I did hold on to my Sony Trinitron for as long as possible, before circumstances meant that I had to unfortunately part with it. But I was running a CRT television daily up until probably around sort of 2011 or so. So I avoided jumping on the LCD bandwagon, and I was mainly running Sony Trinitron sets. The last one I had was a huge 34-inch 4:3 standard format set from, I think the set itself dated from about 1990. And I really wish I'd kept it, but it took up a lot of space and weighed an awful lot. And when we were in the process of moving, it was one of those things that just wouldn't fit anywhere in the house that we're currently in, so it had to go, which was a real shame. This is quite good. They always did these, so you actually had the different types of sets that you could actually get, and the different sort of series of sets that you could actually get. They did actually have an LCD set available in 98 and 99, but I think that was back projection. But you also had the Vega digital line, the Vega wide line, the FX Vega flat screen, so a standard format television, the F3 range, which were Dolby, the K5, the X monitor series, which was a real sort of staple of the Sony line, was still available, but it looks like here only available as a 21-inch. You used to be able to get the X series in 21, 25 and 29-inch sizes, so it sort of really covered all of the major and popular screen sizes. Let's have a quick look through and see what else we got. So this is a DVB tuner, so this would have been a Freeview box of the time. It would have actually been an entire separate box, which you can still get now, to be honest with you. They also did this rather cute looking little 16-inch widescreen portable, which if those come up, they're actually quite nice for gamers, plus the fact that they actually support NTSC as well. They also did a 20-inch one, again quite a compact size, 24-inch, the 28-inch, then all the way up I think they did a 32-inch as well. Then we got the FD Vega standard 4:3 format screen, available in 29 inches in a range of different, looks like different features. This one's a 100Hz set as well. So 100Hz was the sort of big thing back then as well. So where a normal TV refreshes at 50Hz, these would refresh at 100Hz, giving you a pretty flicker-free picture. It's actually easier on the eye, but you'd sort of tend to dial out the sort of slight flicker on 50Hz sets after a while. So it was more of a marketing gimmick, to be honest, but one that did work when you sort of had two sat next to each other, one at 50Hz and one as a 100Hz set. These F3s were quite popular and quite a nice set, and obviously sort of filled with speakers, as they sort of always invariably were from the Sony range. Then you had the rear projection sets, which were never really that good, to be honest with you. Some people liked them, but I was never really that impressed with them. Good sizes though, 46-inch, 41 inches, 53 inches and 50 inches. They were pretty big. And then we come round to a smaller sort of range of more affordable sets. So the 14-inch mono sets. I think this one is 21-inch. And some of the sets with combined VHS video recorder. In fact, they actually had one up to 21 inches of a video recorder actually combined inside the set, which is pretty good. Then there's a bit more about films, which were sort of coming out at the time. A little bit more here about, what was this? Smart File. So this was like an indexing system that was available, and you could set up sort of various programs on an index and then use this to actually find it. Sony did try something similar with automatic program search on various Betamax machines from the early 80s. Sort of quite a unique to Sony feature, that. Then there's this whole thing about the Sony Smart Engine, and then we come onto the range of video recorders, going from most basic to more advanced still, to top of the range, including these, which actually go for good money these days still, which was basically a hi-fi VHS deck with a video hi-8 deck built in. And I was trying to see if they had any SVHS decks. Nope, that one had program delivery control, Video Plus, Smart Link, Super Trilogic, all of those good things. Then you had various cassettes that you could purchase, so various Sony branded cassettes. More articles, sort of space fillers, and then we sort of come on to the range of hi-fis that they had to offer. So some sort of very nice high-end hi-fis which were available from Sony at the time. Also a range of high-end CD players, high-end amplifiers and tuners, rather nice looking cassette decks, especially in that gold finish. Some marketing blurb about the various features of these units. More marketing blurb about the components that make up their hi-fis. Some bizarre 200 disc CD changer affair. Then coming back down with more CD players by the looks of it. That's an interesting one. Combined CD player with tape player. That's something I've never seen before. Multi-disc CD players as well. And double cassettes, DAT recorder. So they were still sort of pushing DAT as well by the looks of it. Graphic equalizers, various accessories, record players, which they don't have that many, but they were still marketing some record players. I mean, that was sort of pretty much a dead format by that time. Although it has seen a resurgence these days, it was by the late 90s quite a dead format. Really still pushing the mini disc thing as well, but that sort of died off a few years later, unfortunately. A mini disc to mini disc unit, so a twin unit there, which is interesting. Then we come on to another range of integrated amplifiers and tuners, and then AV amplifiers. So a nice range of AV amplifiers, which were very expensive at the time and can be picked up for a fraction of the price these days. Speakers, mini systems, so various mini systems which are also available, sort of varying in price, features and quality. Not as extreme looking as some of the sort of newer ones. They actually sort of do look fairly neat. They don't look sort of too extreme, and they're sort of fairly pleasant looking things. Then right the way down to these micro systems, which I actually find now are quite useful to use as TV amplifiers. In lieu of, say, buying a soundbar, I'd much rather buy one of these and then hook that up to the television and use that, because it's small enough to hide away, but the sound quality is good enough that it actually sort of beats a lot of the sound bars that are on the market. Then we've got these setups, which MIDI systems, which were sort of quite extreme with some of the features that they had. The more sort of visual impact than actual sort of quality, style over substance. Then a small bit about the Sony website. A little bit more about the Sony Vaio range of laptops, which was really just coming in at that point. Bits and pieces about camcorders, various camcorders that were available at the time, starting with the mini DV arrangement, which was just sort of becoming popular. And then as you go further down the range, you go back to Video 8 eventually, but we're still looking at DV at the moment, including a full-size DV VCR, a little portable DV video Walkman. Then we come down a bit further to the Video 8 range, starting at the bottom of the range with the Video 8s, going up to the Video High 8s. I don't think they had Digital 8 at this time, so I think that DV format was actually replaced with Digital 8. Range of accessories available for your camcorder, including cleaning kits, bags, etc. Attachment lamps, tripods, different lenses, various range of media that's available, a projector as well, which is interesting, so that was also available. Then digital cameras such as this Sony Mavico, which actually recorded data onto a floppy disk. They were very interesting things because they actually had the floppy disk running at twice the speed as it would in a standard computer. So it actually wrote data onto the disk at a far higher speed. And it was actually sort of quite a nice compact camera because it was pretty much almost the size of the floppy disk. Obviously it's quite a bit thicker, but it was pretty much the size of the floppy disk, and it would create floppy disks and formats that were compatible with your PC or other machines at the time. I would quite like to get hold of one now just to see what they were like, but for their day they were not bad. They were certainly a good sort of start to the digital camera revolution. And what have we got now? More filler. Some bits about mini disc, in-car entertainment, more mini disc, more stuff to do with mini disc, in-car entertainment. I seem to remember I think I actually had that head unit once. Sold it many years ago, but I had that along with a 10-disc multi-changer as well, funnily enough. Then what else have we got? More filler blurb. Then we've got the Sony CD Walkmans, or Discmans rather, available in a range of features, colours and price ranges. The cassette Walkmans, a lot of them with mega bass, some with Dolby, ranging in both prices, colours, styles, etc., features, all of that sort of good stuff. Basically one to suit all pockets at the time. Getting near the end now. Now we've got little CD radio cassette things. So these were still a thing back then as well. All very sort of interesting. Little portable radios. Little radio alarm clocks. Don't even know what those are. Oh, little digital note takers, so little dictaphone things. Quite handy. Little dictaphone dictation machines, still sort of quite popular. A lot of medical practices use them. So you'd basically have a doctor recording various bits about a patient, and then they would be transcribed by a selection of other people. Selection of headphones, various different headphones, mini speakers, whatever those are, microphones and remotes. The children range, so the children also had options for Sony equipment. A range of media, more filler blurb. Ah yes, little bits for in-car entertainment. That's all good. Oh, that one's nice with the wood finish. It's quite nice and tacky. Then obviously the mini disc and CD arrangements. Then on to mobile phones. So this would have been the Sony mobile phones that were available at the time. Sony became Sony Ericsson when they sort of purchased Ericsson, and now they're back to Sony again. So I think they've actually dropped the Ericsson brand, but Ericsson were sort of quite a prestigious company at the time, certainly for mobile phones. And there we go, that is that. Again, if you have found this interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, take care and see you soon.